So this was actually not even anywhere near close to the video I was planning on having done this week. That was actually going to be on both Godzilla and Pokemon and the very weird history the two companies have working together. Hopefully that'll be next week. As for why that is not being made, there were some complications at work, they needed my help, and I did not really have the time to actually finish it, so this is kind of a crash video. And that's just going to be me yapping about Transformers because I kind of have wanted to do this for a while, and there's just gonna be no script because I kind of like scripting things out. So this is free range riffing. Honestly, mostly it's probably just gonna be on Transformers Prime, since both I absolutely love that series, and I've got the footage of Transformers War and Fall of Cybertron playing on in the background here because that's something that I know I just have. Also, if anybody knows somewhere to send an Xbox 360 to have it fixed, please let me know. My Xbox 360, just crapped out on me, and I would love to get it fixed so I can play Transformers War and Fall of Cybertron on, actual hardware. Maybe save my old account somehow and just show you guys all the stuff I did on, Fall and War of Cybertron. But, if you guys know anywhere where that, somewhere that could possibly fix it or look at it, please let me know that. Send it to me on Discord. And, I'd love to get that fixed and do stuff with it for the channel. And they are actually technically part of the same continuity as Transformers Prime in a way. That's the aligned continuity, and it's really more of a continuity family. It's kind of weird and hard to describe, but there's a video I actually have planned on that, and more so just continuity as a whole and the importance of it. That is going to be sort of a far-flung future prospect, hopefully when we get the VTuber model finished, because it's kind of the importance of why continuity is so important, keeping it consistently, but also the problems of actually keeping consistency and how it limits things. It's kind of a thing. In short, everything kind of has very loose connections to one another. So the Covenant Primus, Transformers Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron, Transformers Prime TV show, they share events. Things aren't 100% one-to-one perfect matchup, but they do reference one another. There's a lot of love put into this era of Transformers. And hello everyone, I am your dummy dinosaur, your American Allosaurus, your idiotic narrator, Max Allo. If you enjoy the kind of rambles and nonsense yapping we do around here, we mostly yap about kaiju, but we also occasionally yap about, Transformers and other stuff. So if you enjoy that, don't forget to subscribe for more and comment your thoughts below and leave a like on the video. Side note, the amount of love that the Heisei Godzilla video has been getting, that just really warmed my heart. I was genuinely terrified of making that video because I didn't think it would do well. Thank you for showing me I was wrong. But as for Transformers Prime, as a series, it's very hard to describe because it does basically everything that a series I think should do. It has a lot of, obviously, callbacks and mythology gags to previous series. It draws on Generation 1, the Michael Bay movies for design-wise, and in a few other areas. But it also does incorporate other elements of other different Transformers series. But it's not just a retelling of, okay, here's the past series just told again for the 7 billionth time. It does a lot of kind of what Transformers Animated did, where it took some of these concepts from previous things, and this is all Transformers pretty much does, where it takes previous concepts and it takes the bare root of it and runs with that and builds an entirely separate story. So it's not just a patchwork of a whole bunch of other ideas, it's a completely new whole cloth that weaves in a few threads from past things in kind of a weird, almost self-circulating reciprocal way. Transformers Prime actually went on to influence the Michael Bay movies in a way that it was sort of derived from the Michael Bay movies, that being the Unicron way it's handled, where Transformers Prime is actually the first one to really introduce, in a big way, Unicron being Earth, and then you had, Transformers, what was it, The Last Night, where, the plot of it is Unicron is Earth. It's it's so weird that you have this is not the first time this happened. This happened with DC, the DC animated universe, where you had a derivative project that created something that was so influential, so popular, so beloved, that the continuity that more or less led to its creation incorporates that into it. Canon immigrant, I believe, is the term for that, or retcanon. It's it's such a great concept. I love it. And you see this a few times with Transformers, where it's like, again, going back to the whole line continuity idea. It continued on to Transformers Robots in Disguise, which was not as popular. I don't think it was as good. But there's, of course, a Dinobot named Grimlock in there, but he's a very different Grimlock than, he was originally a Decepticon in a green coloration, and is very much, not the Grimlock we know from Transformers Fall of Cybertron. And they had one of the best explanations, because people were asking, is this the same Grimlock? Is, Grimlock from Fall of Cybertron, does he exist in this continuity? Because, again, the line continuity was the same thing. And they just gave the best answer. Like, this is the kind of answer that I love, and it makes me kind of like Robots in Disguise a little bit more, where the explanation given was something to the effect of, there's a lot of robot T-Rexes who are named Grimlock. It was a very tongue-in-cheek way of saying, yes, we have another, robot dinosaur whose name is Grimlock, who's a T-Rex. But it also said, yes, Fall of Cybertron and Grimlock, he does exist in the Transformers Prime continuity. There is another Grimlock here. And I'm like, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's straight to the point. I like this. We need more of it. And it has, like, the best point, and that's sort of a whole thing, but it's like, as a series, just Transformers Prime has, like, the best aspects of all the previous elements of Transformers. And you got Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, and you got Frank Welker as Megatron again. And you listen to the way that they voiced the characters back in the 80s, the voices, obviously Optimus Prime's voices is largely the same, but he has a much more stoic, more serious, because, Prime in G1 was, like, a little bit more laid back. But here he's very much like the stoic. His voice is actually deeper. And it's not because Frank Welker, not Peter Cullen's voice got deeper. He just portrays a deeper voice. It's like, it's weird thinking about the Peter Cullen character having a higher pitched voice, but that is relative to the later voice he gave Optimus Prime. With this one, it's like, there is a very distinct difference. And then you got, Megatron, Frank Welker, whereas, like, you look at G1 Megatron and G1 Prime Megatron, and it's just complete night and day. But it's so special because you've had these guys who have voiced these characters like 30 years, and not only do they intimately understand their character, heck, like, again, they defined the characters, but they're good friends, and like they know how the other plays their character. There's even one thing I remember where it's like the two of them basically tried reversing the roles, where Frank Welker tried doing Optimus Prime for like a bit on like a talk show or whatever it is, and Peter Cullen tried to do Megatron. It's like they can't do, like, they really did nail the roles that they were cast. And in this you have elements of that where Optimus Prime and Megatron are like old friends, and there is this very big respect between the two of them for what they like, the history they have, but they're very clearly adversaries. And it's so good. If you haven't seen, I hope you've seen it. It's like, if you haven't seen Transformers Prime, pause the video, at least watch the first 5 episodes, Darkness Rising, the opening movie. If you're not into it after that, fair enough. If you do want to see more of it, highly recommend finishing the series. Beast Hunter is a little bit weak at times, but it still has, it's great moments. And it's sort of just, like, the whole series as a whole walks kind of this very weird line of something that so many series fail to do these days. And it's what sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender did, what Teen Titans did, where you have enough lighthearted elements that younger audiences can appreciate. Obviously, you got giant robots fighting each other, big flashy laser blasts, awesome sword fights, and everything like that. It's awesome. But at the same time, it takes the audience seriously. It is a very dark version of Transformers. Literally in the opening part of the series, you have, like, the first 5 minutes, Starscream kills Cliffjumper, and then later in the episode, Megatron reanimates him as a zombie. And that, the first 5 minutes set the tone of the entire series. And, that's, you don't have as many characters dying as, like, Attack on Titan does. None of the main characters actually die. But you have, like, some of the villains die, and, it's a series that it really doesn't pull punches. Special episode Report Breakdown. That was brutal. But you've got, great recurring antagonists, not even just Megatron. You have, the Decepticons, you have Mac, Silas, Clancy Brown, great voice actor. The fact that they have a human antagonist who is taken very seriously, and just one of the best lines of Optimus Prime regarding him, that he says, I believe that the quote is, Megatron preached much the same rhetoric on Cybertron before the Cybertronian Civil War, with regards to the way that Silas of Mech starts speaking, and he says at the end to the other Autobots that, Earth has basically birthed its own Decepticons in human skin. And it's like, it's such a great episode because you have humans who are genuinely competent. They go on to be actually quite threatening for, a good portion of the series. They're scarily competent. They are actually very similar to the Decepticons in a lot of ways. And it really shows the idea of, like, the Autobots, the Cybertronians, the Decepticons, like, they're not really that different than us. And it I don't know, just, it respects the audience's intelligence in a way that you don't really get from a lot of, like, cartoons. And I do think Transformers Prime kind of was one of the last great cartoons. And I mean, Transformers Prime is actually largely responsible for why I can't watch week-to-week episodic series anymore, where I have to binge-watch everything. Because I was watching this show at the same time I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012. And both of them were fantastic. Love both of them. And, I came through midway to both of them. And, I was at the first season and then a few episodes of the second season of Transformers Prime that were already out. And I remember just agonizing week after week, waiting. My brother and I would watch them, new on the hub every single time. We couldn't watch them when they premiered, so what we do is we use the DVR to record them, and then the next day we'd wake up early before school and just sit on the couch and watch it in the morning. And it was so great. And I just after that, like, I could not wait week to week, and just it broke me basically because I just want to watch more. I can't do this episode to episode. I blame Transformers Prime for ruining me on cartoons. When it came to watching the rest of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012, I basically just stopped watching that series, and it was like, I'm gonna watch everything at the end. And then that series went on for like freaking ended in like 2017. So I was waiting a long time for that. It's like it's kind of something special that just the series was as good as it was, because it wasn't just, you have the main characters being the greats. You have even the side characters were like very well developed and very, very likable, especially when it came to the Decepticons. All the Decepticons, with the exception of Megatron, kind of, and Arachnid. Arachnid's just freaking psycho. Apparently in the Japanese version, Arachnid's kind of a yandere, which yandere spider robot woman. I don't know exactly how to feel about that. Whereas, like, all the Decepticons have, like, they're all evil. Well, I mean, they're all villains or antagonists, but they all have some very likable qualities. Like, you have the friendship between Breakdown and Knockout, the friendship between Starscream and Knockout. Knockout has a genuine, like, love for humanity and Earth culture more than anything, where he admits that there's a whole episode where he goes drag racing against humans. He likes human automobiles. He watches human movies. There's a great exchange in Beast Hunters where Knockout and Starscream accidentally create a zombie outbreak. Freaking wild series. And he says, "Oh yeah, I've seen this in human horror films." Starscream just looks over at him, just like, "What the frick are you talking about?" And he says, "I've seen them at drive-in movie theaters." They go for the head, so he blasts the head, and just doesn't do anything, and then Starscream blasts it in the spark chamber, and then it kills the zombie con. And Knockout makes basically a comment about what do humans know about anything. It's like, it's so funny because it fits within his character. It fits within Starscream's reaction to that information, and it just is this bizarre, absurd series of events, which actually are very plot relevant. The whole zombie outbreak is legitimately very, very relevant to the series. And it's just, even the episodes which feel like filler are not filler. It's legitimately impressive. And I am very glad that, this, in sort of almost like a sad way, I do think that this is probably going to be the last, great clash of Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime, and Frank Welker, Megatron. I mean, Frank Welker's 79, and Peter Cullen is 84. You can kind of hear in The Rise of the Beasts sort of the age kind of creeping into Peter Cullen's voice, but I mean, that could also be in part due to the way that Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime was made, because originally they didn't have a Peter Cullen voicing Optimus Prime for it. So they had another voice actor come in, do the voice for it, and then replaced him later, and they synced up the lip movements of Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime to the speech patterns of that other VA. So when Peter Cullen came in, he needed to match the lip movements with his speaking of the Optimus Prime they already did, which I think could be responsible for why his voice does sound a bit weird there, because he's not able to use the inflection he normally speaks with. And I think he mentioned that he was not very happy about that, or wasn't very pleased with it. But he does sound a bit tired, is really the only way I can kind of describe it. It's kind of like the way that James Earl Jones sounded when voicing Darth Vader in, I think, it was Rogue One and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, where you can tell there is an aging to the voice. And, Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, they both seem to be in very good health, but I don't think that there will be another, Transformers series where both of them voice their respective characters at this point, especially not the exact same quality as what Prime was with the cancellation of the sequels for Transformers 1, which was going to transition from the guy who voiced Bernie Hayes, I forget what his name is, the guy who played Bernie Hayes in Monsterverse, voicing D16, transitioning into, as time goes on, Frank Welker Megatron, and Chris Hemsworth, Orion Pax Optimus Prime, transitioning into Peter Cullen voicing Optimus Prime as it would go on in the trilogy. That got canned, so we're not going to see that, unfortunately. And I haven't seen Transformers 1 yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. A friend of mine, Echo, he has never seen a single Transformers thing, saw Transformers 1, and just could not stop talking about how great it was. And I think that could have been to a similar caliber of this, but obviously that's not happening. And truth be told, I don't actually hate the idea of Michael Bay doing another Transformers movie. I do enjoy the Bayformers. Obviously they're not perfect, but I do have a bit of a fondness for the dumb popcorn entertainment that they are. But a worry I has if they do another Transformers TV show, it's not going to be to the same quality of what Prime was. And if they bring back Frank Welker and Peter Cullen, it's I worry there's a very legitimate possibility that one of them may not necessarily be there for the conclusion of it. There's also honestly, I don't think other VAs can't take over the role of either of the characters, but just midway through something like that happens, again, they're both in very good health, it seems. It's you don't really follow up a thing like that. And I'll say that I don't think other voice actors can't, solo, a series starting with another voice actor doing, obviously they can. There's great actors for Megatron and Optimus Prime we've had for years. Fred Tatascore, Megatron, Fall Cybertron, Morph Cybertron, fantastic. I kind of did like Hugo Weaving's Megatron. I kind of genuinely liked it. That was good. But yeah, no, it's back to Transformers Prime again. This is kind of the problem of no script. It's one of those series that I've watched so many times. I think I've watched it almost as much as I've watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, if not more, and Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Teen Titans. Where again, it's it's this very just perfect middle run of enough lighthearted for younger audiences and enough maturity for when you're older to still be able to enjoy it, because again, it respects the audience. It has I know this word is probably gonna, maybe set off a few people, like nostalgia, but nostalgia in the way of, in the good way, not, you're blinded by nostalgia, in that it's this familiarity that if you've seen any element of Transformers, Prime will probably have an element of that, because it took the best aspects of all of them and created something entirely new. It really should be like the gold standard for creating a new installment of a series, because it shows how you can hold on to the past and create something new that surpasses it, which in my opinion should be the goal of every adaptation of a series or every successive iteration of a franchise, to be better in every way than what came before it. At some point, I would like to do sort of an episode by episode review and watch with each of the episodes of Transformers Prime. Maybe do like 2 or 3 episodes at a time sometimes. That is definitely going to be for when the VTuber model is finished, because there's a lot of plans I have when the model is finished. I still have to actually finish sketching the whole idea out and actually putting in the order. That's another matter altogether. But yeah, there's a lot of plans I have involving it, and this series was just so great. And also, actually, I meant to add this in sooner. They're probably gonna add this a little bit in sooner. Also, if anybody knows somewhere to send an Xbox 360 to have it fixed. Okay, so reinserted the Xbox little tangent over there. I legitimately completely forgot about that, because again, no script. I mentioned that it's again, I love that game, of both of those games. For Fall to War, most of that is because the aesthetics of Fall I think is just better, but both of them are very good games. And just being able to play them for the channel, this one or the gaming channel, Maxis, which is going to be renamed as well in the future. Yeah, this is also confirmation of that it is being renamed. That was just great games. I have genuinely missed being able to play them. Same with Black Ops 2 Origins. And a little bit of a tease earlier where apparently Fall of Cybertron was the page was open for it on Steam, and then got taken down a few hours later. It was a glitch or something like that. Just broke my heart. But yeah, I love this series. I love Transformers Prime especially. I do think it is the best iteration of Transformers we have ever gotten. And I don't think we're ever going to get anything like it again. Thank you guys for sticking with me. This is Ramble Tangent. I don't generally like doing these sort of, off-the-cuff, non-scripted videos. I like structuring everything, because again, they are a bit too, schizo at times. But, this was a very weird week. Did not have a whole lot of time, and I didn't want to delay the delay the Pokemon Godzilla video for a few days, because I know, knowing me, I would not be able to put my full effort into it, more or less, because I'd be juggling doing it well and doing it quickly enough to not completely botch the algorithm. So I thought, I'm just gonna do the Transformers Prime, just ramble video, because I haven't wanted this for a while. Again, if you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts below, subscribe for more if you enjoyed. And I've been Max Allo. Thank you guys.